a lot. One thing I noticed, my deep wells, I do a static water test 2 or 3 times a year on each well, centered in the center of the valley. And this year, my wells went up 2 feet, from 76 to 74 by my house, out in the center of the valley. And so I was surprised to see that, but very happy. And so whatever we're doing, you know, with the MVI Water Company, Deep Creek, and St. John, and Pleasant View, by trying to finding these recharge stations or gravel pits that we can put it into, I think we're paying more attention to it, and I think we got 2 feet higher in the aquifer on my wells, and so I hope it continues. And there's always stuff we can do to help with it. So
there's a guy back down in, I think he's in Arizona, that decided to break the law and start cutting curbs. And the reason why he did so was to divert water from the gutters whenever it did rain in Arizona, which is infrequent. Divert them into just little depressions that he put a tree in and covered in mulch. The government was very upset at the cutting of the curbs, but after a couple years and seeing the incredible growth of those trees, causing the neighborhood to actually green up and have more shade, which helped with the entire ecosystem in that specific area, it's now mandated to cut curbs in that area now. Interesting. If you were elected county commissioner, of course, would you look at alternative ideas like that for collecting water? Maybe look at what can be done, getting rain barrels on houses, so that when we're running low on water, that can be utilized instead of water all rushing out of the valley when we have that downpour every once in a while.
Yeah, that's the hard part. You have to have people that want to do it. It takes effort to put barrels on and be self-reliant, self-sufficient. And that's a lot of the meetings that we've had. They talked about that. For your gardens, you could have that, and it goes out to your garden. You don't have to use it in the house. And so that's your form of water storage, which people have talked about, have a food storage and a water storage. But yeah, there's tons of areas that I think that we could make in the whole valley, all the way around the valley, that you could run. There's a lot of little ponds and everything. If we had to make sure we keep access to those to get water to them. What I'm seeing is they have the state of Idaho has come up with to help Southeast Idaho to put their open streams into pipelines, and I worry about the aquifer with that, because there's a thing called ditch loss, and that's when your water soaks into the ground when it's in the ditch and it goes into the ground. And if we lose that in our valley, we don't have a stream that runs in here to feed us. Everything we get is from up above. And so I'm worried about that one. And piping in all these systems and repiping them all in and everything. We need areas that we can, them systems, when they are overflowing or is too much, we need areas that we can dump water into. Gravel pits, recharge stations are what they're called also. And we need those available everywhere, that we can open a valve and water can go in there. Even if we have so much water, we need it year round. All we're going to do is feed the aquifer.
How much of a problem is evaporation when it comes to water in the valley?
Oh, the evaporation happens all the time, but I don't think it affects that much. We have our sprinkling systems that obviously is the worst, because the water is in the air and falls to the ground, and it evaporates faster than flood water going in. And so it's just something that, there's tons of things you can do in an irrigation system that, instead of your pivots being high or your wheel lines being high, you can lower lower the flow to a foot, 2 feet off the ground, so your evaporation stops. So there's tons of things, and the government actually comes out and they reimburse you for stuff like that. And so they're involved in that, trying to make everything, and the state involved in that. So yeah, evaporation's, it happens.
Yeah. One thing that one idea that I've had that I would love to see implemented is above the reservoirs, put in a system of swales or in contour ditches, so that the water comes down the hill in the springtime when there's spring runoff, hits the swale, and either soaks into the ground there or is diverted into ponds for overflow, and then those ponds can be piped straight into the reservoir, and that would mitigate the amount of silt that gets washed into the reservoirs, which is kind of a problem if your reservoirs fill up with dirt.
Yes.
And then all the water that soaks into the ground above the reservoirs then will develop springs lower down. So that would eliminate any evaporation loss that might happen at that point in time. I think that would be more of a private party type of a situation. The county wouldn't have any direct connection to that. But as a county commissioner and someone that knows Malad Valley and MVI fairly well, do you think that would be something that would benefit the county? And if it benefited the county, how would the county help MVI with that major earthwork operation?
The one thing I've learned, the county commissioners have a lot of pull. If they say something, then people listen. I'm happy for that. And that would be a great idea. I know some of the areas do have the Oxford Mountain and stuff. There's a lot of ponds that have been put in there over the years, and to slow down the runoff. Not too many on the North Mountains here. They have done it in the Daniels area up there, and they did not do anything to pipe it. They did it to slow it down for the silt and everything. And from what I've heard from those people on that reservoir has not failed since they've done it. But they have springs that have sprung back up. Not strong enough that they're running too far, but anyway. So the trial and error needs to, if we need to do it. Everybody's praising the spring that we don't get rain on top of snow with frozen ground, because it all runs right out the valley. There's a lot of things that we're looking at improving reservoirs right now, that we can hold at full capacity on all our reservoirs. We have 2 in the valley. We can't even hold water in during the winter, and we have to let it out in the fall. And after last year, one of them didn't even fill where it would have been full if we would have. So that affects the farmers and ranchers in a bad way. And so yes, there's tons of things that we could look at to help with water improvement, to help with water companies, and make more water available. That's what we need. You have to have it for the house, you have to have it for the town, you have to have it for the farms and ranches, or you have nothing. So
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Nope, that's about it. One thing I really would like to do is, after attending a lot of meetings since 2020 and 2022 when this came in, is I want to involve the people. I want to have meetings before a dollar bill is ever spent on any kind of project that they're thinking of, any kind of grant they have available. There's been a lot of wasteful spending that I've noticed in the last 2 or 3 years that could have went towards other entities in the Malad, sheriff's departments in a bad way. And a lot of that wasted money could have went towards wages and helping, roads with the road departments. They could use some help too. And so a lot of that wasteful spending could be prevented. And a lot of it comes from the good people that are moving in here they have experience. They have seen it with their own eyes in towns that they've moved from. They have work jobs that would have information of whether it's a good idea or not. And so I think we need to involve, well, I know for a fact we need to involve the people before we start projects. Town meetings, I've seen 3 of them go on in the last couple of years, and for some reason they just stopped again. And there was town hall meetings, and there was a lot of people at them, and a lot of voices heard, and it was all in good, there was nobody mad, there was nobody screaming, nobody cussing, which is good for Mlad. And so I think that's one thing that I want to implement, is we involve the people and get their experience and their advice, because I don't know it all, but I'm willing to try to learn. So
I completely agree. None of us are as smart as all of us. Also, none of us are as dumb as all of us.
Yep.
Depending on the situation.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's May 20th is
May 19th.
May 19th. Yeah. May 19th, not the 20th, is the election.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.